Hey guys, welcome back to another Minecraft video. So, there's been videos for a while. Uh, Reason for that is I've had work to do that's sort of taken priority over doing this shit, which, makes sense, right? And while that's still the case, the problem is that the work I have to do right now involves waiting. Waiting by pretty much sitting around and doing nothing. So obviously, a person with pretty strong insomnia, I can't exactly just sit around and do nothing successfully. I need to occupy my brain with something. So therefore, I'm gonna play some more Minecraft because I don't know what else to do, really. I believe we're on episode 241, if I remember correctly. Building's gonna get finished soon, but right now I wanna focus on the topic of this episode. And this episode is going to be the long-awaited sequel to the fishing episode. Jesus Christ, I have so much string. Yeah. Just fishing the sequel. And I'm going to keep fishing until this rod is broken. So, yeah. If you remember anything about the previous time we did a fishing episode, it was a lot of talking. So if you're not inclined to hear shit, just click off now, because that's all this is gonna be. So, I got as of recording this, I still got a few days before I go back to my parents' place, and honestly, that could not be coming sooner, because dear Lord, I am really starting to hate it here. Um, in terms of number of straws until the camel's back breaks, I'd say I'm at about half a straw. This place just, frankly, it sucks. It just does. Whatever uh, proclamations of having a blast here, meeting new friends. That's just that. Whatever culture that existed in is just gone. Like as much as I want to say things haven't really changed much, things kind of have changed much. Like college, uh, I my parents would proclaim to me like, "Hey, you know, when you start college, people aren't going to be separated into cliques like they were in high school." While that might have been the case, when they went, it certainly isn't the case now. I feel like, if anything, things are even more separated, at least here. Uh, and me, of course, being the guy in the middle who doesn't really have anybody to talk to, is only exacerbated here. So, yeah, very lonely time, to say the least. Lonely and stressful. Uh, yeah, it's tough because when you're predisposed to just not really enjoy doing anything because, suspicions of bipolar disorder, suspicions of confirmation of um, major depressive disorder. It's just generally difficult to convince myself to do anything naturally. Which, has its small ups and big downs. I mean, for one, obviously, with the difficulty to convince yourself to do anything, um, suddenly work piles up pretty quickly because obviously you can't convince yourself to do anything in the first place, so then it'll pile up and you have to do it eventually. So you end up procrastinating without really intending to or wanting to, and things just go from okay to really bad really quick. And I mean, obviously it sucks that this is what I got to deal with, but unfortunately the case is that it's not really something I can just not do, right? It's like telling a homeless person to buy a house. Like it just doesn't work like that. Hmm. You might hear me taking a swig out of a Coke here because it has caffeine in it. So if I abruptly stop talking, that's why. Um, yeah, as much as I would love to just like not be like this, it's not easy. It's simply just not that easy. I'm not really wired that way. I can't just stop doing something, right? Like I'm the kind of person who kind of needs the support to get me from rock bottom up to a manageable level, right? And like, as sad and drab and miserable as it is kind of. It's very easy to say that rock bottom has become a standard for me in general, which is not a good thing because it means I'd never really go anywhere, right? Of course, that's just the problem with major depressive disorder and bipolar disorder and that in general. It's that you become so used to whatever's going on that it just doesn't really phase you anymore, and being stressed and down is just part of who you are. Which, obviously I really wish that weren't the case because frankly I love doing what I do, and not being able to get myself to do anything is obviously very frustrating. Like there are a few things less yeah, there are a few things more frustrating than having the tools and the knowledge to be able to do what you want to do, but not having the drive or the motivation to use any of them. So I sort of have to be very slow and easy on myself if I want to get myself to do anything, and unfortunately that's just not how college works. You can't take your time. You have to go, 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 work, work, work. And I know I can handle that if I'm in a good enough headspace. That's something I can handle. Easy, no problem. Like for years I worked my ass off at everything and never really got tired of it. Like I'm capable of withstanding being a workaholic as long as I don't tire of it easily, right? And unfortunately, right now I'm in a state where I tire of everything easily. So it's kind of, I'm not sure what um, sort of the word for it. Not a metaphor. Never. I'm not sure what I would use to describe it, but it's just not a very manageable position. It's a very difficult position to get oneself out of alone. Because, frankly, I realize, especially in this time that I'm spending alone in a small claustrophobic space every day, I realize that I took a lot of the people in my life for granted. Which I feel like we all sort of come to that realization that we've been taking something for granted, right? It's like uh, it's like nostalgia with various things, right? We don't really know how good we have it until it's not really there anymore. Um, yeah, it is very lonely out here, you know? And I kind of just have to deal with it for now, and that sucks, obviously. Um, I've been trying my best to see professionals and spend time with people as much as I can. But obviously, college life is very demanding, so unfortunately, that just has to take priority over it because it's not exactly something I can afford to repeat. So it sucks, you know. Like as much as uh, I'd love to just get up and do whatever the fuck I want and spend time with people I enjoy spending my time with. It's simply, I'm simply just not in a position where I really have that as an option right now, which is, it's obviously an unfortunate scenario. I wish that weren't the case, and frankly, it sucks that it is the case, but it sort of just is, you know? I can't really do anything about it right now. And I've said a million times, it sucks. But it's just sort of how it is. There'll be another end to this. Right? It's the one time I will ever say this phrase. It's just a phase. That is the only time I will ever say that phrase. Because frankly, I feel like it's kind of stupid to say something is just a phase, but here, honestly, I think it really is just a phase. I don't know, maybe I'm underestimating what's going on, but I don't want to. I don't want to stress myself out more than I already am. So I'm inclined to pick the easier option. Maybe not the easier one, but the more optimistic answer. There's that. Uh, yeah. picked up some new vinyls in my collection recently. I haven't really gotten the chance to put them on. I might do that today actually, because like I said at the beginning of the video, I have a lot of downtime to be filling in right now. So I might just do that. But we'll see, you know. Um, I mean, I suppose technically this is the third time we're doing a fishing special. But the second time we did a fishing special wasn't just a fishing episode, so I don't really count that one. It was for the sake of getting the uh, the treasured cat named Harry. Yeah. Okay, well, with those like 6-ish squid spawning in out of nowhere, sure, why not? Yeah. I was playing through the Halo games as of late. It kind of shocks me how well those games have aged, even after like my 10 millionth time playing through them. I like it's still like consistently jaw on the floor looking back at the series. I mean, specifically the first three, right? I think most, if not all of us, can agree that after 3, and especially after Bungie left, things started to have a downwards trajectory. But yeah, I was playing through some of those games, and like I'm shocked, genuinely. They've aged like fine wine. A lot of the design philosophies and processes in those games are still vital parts of games today. Whereas I'd look at something like Doom and go, "Oh yeah, that's a game from the 1990s," you know. But no, I look at Halo and I go, "Oh, that's a game." You know, it's not. I don't go, "That's a game from a certain period of time." I just go, "That's a game," right? Its design is in depth enough to where I don't really consider it a relic of its time, but just a game, which can be said about few games from that time. Like, I doubt anybody's looking back at Daikatana like, "Oh yeah, you know that game aged really well." Like, no, there are loading screens in inconvenient places everywhere. The fucking marketing, John Romero is gonna make you his bitch. You know, that whole thing. It's definitely a product of its time. I think probably the funniest part about the game's marketing is I believe John Romero had no part in it whatsoever, and they just showed it to him, and he's like, "Okay, sure." I think that's pretty funny. That at the end of the day, the whole John Romero thing wasn't even his idea. Although, come to think of it, that makes sense. He does not seem even remotely like the egotistical type. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's interesting looking back at the Halo series and just like thinking of them as pieces of art, right? Because obviously I'm in college studying video game design, so naturally I would have a very video games are art sort of take on all this. Um, but there's like a shocking amount of technical advancements in that series that were not just aging well with the times, but ahead of their time. Um, like there are few games I have seen um, since Halo 3 that have cinematography that involved um, in its cutscenes. There are a few games I've seen since Halo 1 that take its sandbox so seriously and put so much effort into diversifying everything, you know? It's just, I don't know, it's very interesting. Like I said, when I look back at those games, I don't imagine them as a product of their time, but rather just a product. So, yeah. Um, I'm hoping that when I get back to my parents' place for the few weeks that I'll be there, I get to spend more time with my friends and family. Because I've been missing out on that a lot. I mean, of course, it's easy to miss out on a lot of things that you don't really have a lot of control over, but it does you know suck. You do get homesick uh, when you have such little opportunity to interact with the people at home, which I suppose makes my desire to move to Ireland all the more irrational. It will at least seem all the more irrational. But honestly, I'm still holding on to that. I really want to move to Ireland. It's just, I don't know. There's a certain like cultural draw to it. Also, just general cost of living is way lower there than things are here right now. So, I don't know. It just seems like a very desirable place to be right now. Very, both politically and culturally, its own beast. Sort of at peace with the rest of the world. As opposed to here, where I feel like we're sort of mom and dad are arguing and we're caught in the middle of it, you know? Uh, I'm Canadian. Well, I say I'm Canadian, but I was born in the US and I did a DNA test recently and I found out I'm mostly British, so there goes that. Well, British and Irish mainly. In reality, moving to Ireland is just me returning to the homeland in a way. I think that's kind of funny. I think my microphone has been on mono input for past like 2 years and I've never switched it back. I only switched it to mono because my old microphone I had going through a stereo channel only into one channel, so it made sense to make it mono, right? Um, but now my microphone is very much not mono, and I'm still using the mono input. Probably change that, but you know what? Unless if I explicitly remember to before recording, I'm not gonna because I find that's kind of funny that I've just been forgetting about it so long and I only just realized it now. Um, yeah. By the way, remember when I said 2 whole ass years ago, plus some, that Scythe 2, Map 23, you probably don't remember that series, especially if you're coming on to the channel because of this series here, because that was before that was before this series, and you don't think I have abandoned that series because I haven't. I'm still trying. I am still going. It has been such a long time since I single segmented any map in that WOD. For reference, I was 15 when I single segmented the last map. I'm now almost 20, so that should give you some idea as to how long it has been. I am making some significant progress as of late, so maybe expect that to finally come. But who knows? And it's weird to think about. I'm closer to being the age my parents were when I was born than I am to being born. I suppose I won't go into specifics because I don't want to give out too many details on my family. I feel like that's kind of an invasion of their privacy. Like if they want to show up in what I post here, like by all means, go ahead. Did, for example, Dad, I know you're probably watching. I'll just I'll say this now. Uh, if you feel like showing up in my content, I have no problem with that, but I don't want to reveal much, if any, information about the family if I can help it, because you know that's the family. That's I'd imagine that would be something that very few people would want actually broadcasted to anybody, right? I feel like it sort of loses that connection, that privacy, that intimacy that it would have if it were kept private. So I'll leave that up to everybody individually to decide for themselves. Um, but yeah, what was I talking about again before? Oh yeah, right. Old series that still aren't done. Uh, Cursed Halo, that's another one. That was even before Scythe 2, so um again, that one's not done either. I'm doing sort of a I've actually recorded sort of like a soft reset of that series because it ended with a because the last episode of that series, well, I say the last one, the most recent one ended with me soft locking myself. And then a couple months later, a new version of Cursed Halo came out. So I'm starting from the beginning. There will be significantly more episodes of that series too, by the way, because I decided, like a dumbass, that I was going to play on legendary difficulty instead of, I believe I was only playing on heroic last time. So yeah, expect that actually probably directly after this video. Um, yeah, I was because I was planning to upload this series and that series in tandem with one another. So keep on the lookout for that. It'll probably be around soon. For those of you um, who came here for the meme content, um, there's probably not going to be that much of it. I might be blunt with you. The only time I ever upload that stuff is when I find something really funny and I feel like representing that, which is not very often nowadays. So, yeah. Um, those who came watching um, the single music review I did and leaving a whole bunch of comments on that video saying my content was shit and I should just focus on that. Fuck you. Just outright. You are not the kind of audience I desire. I don't think any creator would desire that kind of audience. Um, the audience you never want is the audience that only comes for the content you create instead of the person behind the content. That just leads to very parasocial and sometimes narcissistic fan base that I do not want as mine. I do not want to be a part of it. I do not want to be creating it. So, any of you hoping for me to listen to music that they like, it's not happening. If I ever make a video like that again, it's going to be something that I've chosen, that I like, and that I am passionate. Why did I say like passionate? There you go. Talking about. So the whole reason why I did that one video on Seosin was because I really, really liked that project and wanted to share it with more people. So, and that goes for anything on this channel, by the way. If you have spent any time listening to what I have to say in a lot of my videos, you'll know I do this because I like doing it and not because I expect to get something out of it. So, yeah, I'll leave it at that. In terms of any other series that might be still going, let me see. I gotta think back to, because I think there's a couple series that I never completed. Um, for those looking for the like three people who are watching me go through the old Bloons Tower Defense games, that series is done. I think it's pretty obvious. I stopped at the last game that nobody really gives a shit about, because everybody's played Bloons Tower Defense 5, everybody's played Bloons Tower Defense 6. I don't feel like there's a point talking about those games because I feel like the consensus on those games is pretty unanimous, and I wouldn't really have anything to add to them. Also, that series was recorded really poorly, and uh, I don't feel like adding anything onto that. Uh, you'll notice that in that series, that's probably the only appearance any family member of mine makes in my videos. Um, and while I don't like mentioning that, it's worth pointing out, and I feel like, you know, I don't want to bring more exposure to that series. Not because it's necessarily bad or that it puts a bad um, light on my character. I feel like being self conscious about that and hiding that is, frankly, just a shitty thing to do. But for the sake of not providing exposure to my family and keeping them as private as I can, I don't want to add on to that series. Um, for those, I believe, yeah, watching since 2021, I believe. Um, I think it was 2021 that series started. Plutonia 2. I might come back to that eventually, but as of right now, I don't really have any plans to. Because I want to focus on Scythe 2, and currently Scythe 2 is not done, and I don't think I'm going to continue Plutonia 2 in any capacity until I've done Scythe 2. Because Scythe 2 is more difficult than Plutonia 2, and I feel like if I can't do Scythe 2, then I can't do Plutonia 2. So, there's that. Also, I think Scythe 2 is a better designed project. If you've been hearing that beeping in the video, it's because like an hour ago, not even, our smoke detector's batteries ran out. Like it went out as I was recording this video, so I'm gonna replace those after I'm done. Um, for those who have been watching for a very, very long time, since like 2018, 2019, wondering if I'll ever go back to doing manga reaction content. No, no. It's in the update video where I said I wouldn't make those anymore, the point I made then still stands now. I just don't enjoy making them. I feel like I'm playing up my reaction, which I don't like doing. I don't like over exaggerating myself. I feel like that's a dishonest portrayal of myself. And if there's one thing I value above anything else, it's honesty, and doing content like that, it feels very dishonest. So there's that. For those of you that saw that one Geometry Dash video back in like 2020, I actually did plan to have a series on that, but I tried recording it, and honestly, it wasn't that entertaining to watch back, so I just didn't end up posting it. And also, there were a significant amount of technical difficulties, particularly in the video I recorded when the 2.2 update came out. So yeah, I don't want to post something that's of no value, because that series I felt like was of little to no value. For those hoping for more IRL content like I used to do earlier in not only this channel's lifespan, but also my previous couple of channels, don't expect much. There'll definitely be some at some point, but I wouldn't get your hopes up. For those who mainly came here because of the music related content, there will be more of that. It's just a part of the side project that I invest my time into occasionally, because it's just sort of a hobby of mine I occasionally enjoy dabbling in. So yes, you will see more of that. As to when, I'm not entirely sure, but you will see more of that. Just trying to cover all my bases here so I never have to answer these fucking questions again. For those expecting any sort of Q&A of sorts, I'll probably do a 500 subscriber Q&A once we get there. Well, I say once we get there. Honestly, I have no idea if we will ever get there. I don't really care all too much about the analytics of YouTube. If we get there, I'll do one. If not, I'd say just ask your questions in the comments of whatever video you're watching, and I'll probably answer them. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a particularly active audience, I've realized, so I don't expect much. I know that's kind of cynical and whatever, but frankly, I feel like it's kind of the truth. For those, probably the one or two people who have been following my content since the very beginning, back in 2013, if you'd believe it. Hell, my own parents probably wouldn't even believe it. Any sort of content that I was making back then, don't expect anything like that. Because it is never the content that I wanted to create in the first place. Type of content that I've always desired making has mainly been centered around Let's Plays. And once I started dabbling into that, yeah, in and around like 2017, 2018, I never really went back. So do not expect much from the old days. Do not expect sketch comedy like I used to do. Because, frankly, I feel like those days have passed pretty much. Um, if I ever do sketch comedy again, it's because it will always be because I had a really funny idea for something and I wanted to do it. All right. Um, I think the main takeaway you can get here is that if you're expecting any type of content, I wouldn't expect anything, really. Just maybe that's not the right way to put it, but like if I want to do something, you'll probably see the fruits of my desire to do it. If I don't want to do something, then don't expect anything from it. But outside of that, yeah. I suppose I'm just doing some mindless wandering and rambling. Trying to see if there's any base. Trying to think rather if there's any base I haven't really covered yet. I suppose this is more of a thing for newer viewers of this channel, but anything political is strictly off limits. I do not give two shits about politics. So if you expect me to make any sort of cultural and political statement outside of transgender people are cool and everybody should have equal rights, men and women, anybody in between, don't expect anything, really, right? I have the most nothing burger statements to make, frankly. Like the most interesting thing I've ever said is in that one Scythe 2 video where I sort of gave my answer to the question of if you could go back in time to kill Hitler, if you had to go back in time to kill Hitler, when would you do it? Which, that's probably the most controversial subject I'll ever discuss on this channel. And if you want to hear about it, just find it. Honestly, I'm not gonna repeat myself, and I don't think I'd necessarily have the same answer anyways. So I think that's about it. So thanks for watching me go through this giant rant. And I will see you in the next video, or whenever the fuck I'll see ya. Bye.